this is Frode and welcome to this video. Today you'll learn that everything we do registers in our subconscious minds, an awesome effect of self-actualization, that you can be independent from your external circumstances, that everyone's got several paths that they can choose in life, and the power of your inner voice. And today we have a great book, Toward a Psychology of Being, an empirically based general psychology and philosophy which includes both the depths and the heights of human nature. If you want to learn about the psychology of motivation, I think you'll love this book. And it's written by Abraham Maslow, who was an humanistic psychologist in the 20th century. He's mostly known for coming up with the hierarchy of needs, which describes the human's status of growth through life. As we satisfy our basic needs for food, shelter, belonging, status, etc., we come upon this self-actualization, where all of the goodness lies. So Maslow was actually the one who gave the term self-actualization its full prominence by placing it at the top of the hierarchy of needs. Now let's go through some of my favorite ideas from the book. The first one is everything registers. The basic idea here is that whenever we do something that is not in total accordance with our values or what we are capable of, it registers in our subconscious minds. First, it can work in the way that if we do something we are ashamed of, for example, binge and overeat and binge on Netflix television shows, or distract ourselves while working, it registers to our discredit. And the net result is that we feel ashamed of ourselves, we despise ourselves, we might feel unworthy of love and belonging. And on the other side, it can work in the way that if we do something like eat good and healthy foods, restrain television watching to 1 or 2 hours per day, and focus 100% while doing our work, this registers to our credit. Net result being that we respect and admire ourselves. In short, every waking moment that you live in your life, you can either choose to step forward into growth or back into decay. You can think of it as every time you do an activity, you have a +1 or -1, +1 or -1, with the net result at the end of your day, month, year, or life being that you respect yourself or you despise yourself. And I'm reminded of the idea of arete, which Brian Johnson talks about in the book A Philosopher's Notes. And the idea arete can be something like living at your highest potential, moment to moment to moment. So let's do that. Let's live with arete and acknowledge that for everything we do, it registers. The next big idea is growth hunger. And the idea here is that some people think that they can completely satisfy their need for self-actualization and get rid of that annoying need, then to achieve a state of complete rest. But Maslow has some shocking news in his book. That's simply not possible. What we want to do instead is to become growth motivated. The growth motivated person gains increased rather than decreased motivation while trying to satisfy his needs for self-actualization. His appetite continues to grow, just like a snowball throughout all of his life, as he continues to try to reach for his highest potential, which is a never-ending reach. And this is by no means something bad. As Maslow says, growth is in itself a rewarding and exciting process, e.g. the fulfilling of yearnings and ambitions, like that of being a good doctor, the acquisition of admired skills like playing the violin or being a good carpenter, the steady increase of understanding about people or about the universe, or about oneself. The development of creativeness in whatever field, or most important, simply the ambition to be a good human being. What about you? Are you going to try to aimlessly get rid of this annoying need self-actualization and go through your life knowing that you could have done, been, and have given so much more? Or are you going to step forward into growth, trying to actualize yourself to your fullest potential? It's worth a thought or two. The next big idea is relative independence. Let's start by defining a relative. At dictionary.com, it's defined as something dependent upon external conditions for its specific nature. Now, relative independence will then mean that yes, we are affected by our external environment, but we are not completely determined by it. On the other side of this spectrum, you have the stimulus response man. This person is completely determined by what happens in the environment. You have a stimulus and this man responds. You have another stimulus and this way responds. In just the same way every single time. For example, somebody says something that you don't like, which is a stimulus, and then you react by getting annoyed or angry or hurt, which is your response. And in this case, if you are the stimulus response man, you respond and believing that there is no other way to respond. But the self-actualizer knows that there is always another way to respond. There is always a more empowering choice. So, this relative independence of an external environment, the external environment's wishes and pressures, does not mean that this person completely ignores or disrespects those wishes and plans. Instead, it's his own wishes and plans that are the prime determinators of how he will respond, instead of his external conditions, like their wishes and pressures of other people. For example, you might know that you are doing your best and most productive work before 12 at noon. Then, when somebody comes and wants to schedule a meeting with you before 12 at noon, you say something like, I'm busy then, are you available at 2 p.m.? This is exercising your relative independence. Instead of just reacting and say, oh sure, yes, I have time then. When do you need to meet? What all of this comes down to is basically psychological freedom. Your power to choose your response. Let's exercise that psychological freedom. The next big idea is self-making. When Maslow talks about how we can all satisfy our need for finding ourselves, our purpose, our mission in life, in a variety of ways. The person who loves sports and is good at it can be just as happy with basketball or baseball, for example, if he gives himself most fully to it. And the person who loves science can be just as happy with biology as chemistry. And the person who loves reading books, me, can be just as happy reviewing books, teaching, and writing. And when I think about it, I do all of those things. Yeah, but anyway, we have several duties that we can commit ourselves fully to and flourish. For as Maslow says, for any man with goodwill, there are a great variety of causes or duties to dedicate himself to with equal satisfaction. One might say that this inner structure of human nature is cartilaginous rather than bony, or that it can be trained and be guided like a hedge or even espaliered like a fruit tree. I often come back to this idea of trying a lot of things that Chris Guillebeau talks about in his book, Born for This. And the basic idea there is that you need to try, if you are uncertain about what you want to commit your life fully to, you need to try a lot of things and then narrow it down to the one or few things that you really want to commit all of your time to, when you have a more clear sense of what you really want. Then, when we have satisfied that mission, when we have found out what we want to commit ourselves fully to, we need to acknowledge that it will include chores, those things that we don't want to do, but that are necessary. For example, I love reading, writing, and making videos, but I don't enjoy as much editing the videos or editing my blog posts, but I know that they are necessary. So to become self-made men or women, we need to commit ourselves fully to our fields while acknowledging that they will include chores. And the last big idea is the inner voice. Have you ever heard this inner voice? It can show up in the form of guilt, pressure to do a certain activity, or intense joy from doing something. You might try to neglect this voice and just press it down for months, years, decades, or your whole life, but it will persist. It's underground in your subconscious mind. It is this nagging voice saying things like, you know you can do more, you know you're destined for greatness, or is this everything you can do? And Robert Greene talks about echoes of this wisdom in his book Mastery, where he talks about our inclinations toward particular subjects. He says, the basic elements of this story are repeated in the lives of all great masters in history. A youthful passion or predilection, a chance encounter that allows them to discover how to apply it, an apprenticeship in which they come alive with energy and focus. They excel by their ability to practice harder and move faster through the process, all of this stemming from the intensity of their desire and from the deep connection they feel to their field of study. And at the core of this intensity of effort is in fact a quality that is genetic and inborn, not talent or brilliance, which is something that must be developed, but rather a deep and powerful inclination toward a particular subject. So what particular subject are you drawn toward? You can reflect on it. Let's go out and live it. What's the one idea from this video that resonated the most with you? Reflect on it, share it with your friends, talk about it, embody it a bit more in your life right now. And if you liked this video, you will probably like A Philosopher's Notes by Brian Johnson. And if you enjoyed this video, you will probably enjoy reading the book. For more great ideas like this, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'm looking forward to share more great ideas with you soon. Make this an awesome day. See ya.